At DePaco Credit Union, we value your health and happiness as much as your financial well-being. We encourage the volunteer spirit by providing DePaco employees with the tools and resources to help grow our communities and support the causes that matter to us. We believe that giving back not only strengthens the places we call home, but also enhances our overall well-being. Well-being is the key to a life worth loving. So when you think about yours, remember that DePaco can help you be well.
All things Hawkeyes. Your all-access pass from the sidelines to the postgame. Iowa's News Now Sports presents Eye on the Hawks. Sponsored by DePaco Community Credit Union and Pin Seekers.
I'm just looking at the way they played the last 2 weeks. I think that's about all we need to do right now.
Those last 2 weeks have proven to be as much as you can ask for the Michigan State Spartans while still losing, and that is the task at hand for Iowa on Senior Day as they return to Kinnick Stadium for one more game in the class of 2025. See if the Hawkeyes, who have been so close against some of the best competition in the country, can send out their seniors the right way on Saturday in Iowa City. Welcome to your Wednesday edition of Eye on the Hawks. Looking ahead to Senior Day at Kinnick as Michigan State comes to town. Mitch Vick, Owen Sebring, Mike Howell, Director Erica here on a Wednesday. Thanks to everybody who's watching on the Iowa's News Now YouTube channel or wherever you're listening to podcasts, but we got a few more highlights and stuff to show you, so hopefully you're tuning in on YouTube, because also there's a brand new basketball podcast you can listen to too. I saw that viewership was already going sky high early for you guys.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I haven't checked the numbers so far.
1,000 views already.
Yeah, and I hadn't even
like basketball.
Sean Bach bringing the numbers.
hadn't even shared it on our Twitter page because last night I went to the basketball game and then I started feeling a little crummy, so I went to bed early. But
Like flu game
on the
today.
men's, flu game. But yeah, I think people are just super excited about the Ben McCollum era starting, even though Carver was a little on the emptier side. But what can you expect on these bye games?
Tuesday night, Mike. People got kids.
And it's SEMO,
And it is SEMO.
But I think more so the women's basketball popularity has just remained. And that's we were kind of unsure when Caitlin left, but these last 2 years, and whenever we do women's basketball, it's through the roof.
Exactly. Yeah. We didn't even, that's not like the biggest factor. We really went hard on men's basketball with Sean Bach coming in, and we, kind of go to women's basketball at the end and talk about who's been performing well this year. But overall, good time for some numbers here in shoulder season in the sports world.
To me, the men's basketball a little more interesting right now just because we hadn't seen Ben McCollum coach or anything and these new players. Women's basketball gets more interesting tomorrow when they play Baylor.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. They just landed in Orlando earlier today. Jan Jensen and company hitting the road for the first time out of the state of Iowa. Of course, we're up at UNI over the weekend. I believe we've got a recap of Chit Chat Right's big day up on the YouTube channel as well, so check that out as well. We've kind of already teed it up with a lot of basketball talk, but let's tee it up courtesy of Pin Seekers here in the DePaco studio on a Wednesday and talk about the 28 seniors that'll be taking the field at Kinnick for the final time here in 2025. Let's hear from some of them in an eclectic group, a diverse group, just because of where they've come from, how long they've gotten to stay in Iowa City. It's certainly a unique group, and we got to hear some of their stories on Tuesday talking to them.
So what does this last game mean for you at home, then, in that sense?
It's crazy to think about. I remember walking in Peterson for the first time in that summer, and now walking into Kinnick for the last time. It'd be surreal at the time, but just got to get there first.
A bunch of guys ran out last year. Does it lessen it, or what's that moment then like if you've done it twice?
I think it lessens it a little for us because we've already kind of been there. So, but it'll still be cool to see the other guys experience for the first time, and it'll be a special moment.
Last year, did you have a feeling that there was going to be a second senior day somewhere else, or were you still trying to figure out what the future was? I'm sure the task at hand was
to be honest, I thought that my college career was over at that time, and that was kind of the end of it all. But obviously, I ended up here, so things kind of changed, and now I got a second senior day. I think it's going to hit me a little bit even harder on Saturday. That I guess the college career aspect of my career and that time of football is done, and hopefully that there's going to be more opportunity in the end. I'm going to do my best on that side of things, but to know that this college thing has kind of been done, or is coming to an end, it's been special, but it's going to be emotional for sure.
Have you talked to some of your former teammates who, Sully's down in Tulane? There's a lot of fractured senior days, I guess, where everybody's kind of all over it. But your senior class in general, that you went to Evanston first with, what's that group still like?
Yeah, it's awesome. I try to keep up with them as much as I can. I was actually on the phone with my receivers. We're still tight knit. The guys that I came in with, those are my brothers.
And then I just still try to watch the guys at Northwestern as well. They're doing a great job. So it's been awesome to see just how we've all, just grown.
What was your welcome to Iowa football moment when you were first in this program?
Oof. I would say it was like during COVID time, and us younger guys had to play scout offensive line against guys like Chauncey Golston and, Van Valkenburg and Joe Evans, Wagner, guys like this. And you're just a scrawny high school kid trying to, give them a good look, but they're just abusing you. I would take my shirt off and have bruises all over my body. It was just painful.
And that's the reality that Ethan Hurkitt's probably put on some freshmen coming into the program in their first year. Again, 28 seniors, and you've got everybody from sixth-year players like Ethan Hurkitt and Logan Jones. You've got transfers like Mark Gronowski and Jacob Gill and Seth Anderson and Sam Phillips, some guys who have only been here 1 year like Jonah Pace and Phillips and Gronowski. You've also got guys who found out during bowl prep because they played at an NAI school, they get 1 more year, like Hayden Large, who's become such an important part of this, and Caden Weegan as well, who we still were wondering even last month, is he back? Is he going to be 30 when he leaves? What's going on? But what a unique group, and probably guys as unique of a senior class, not just in Iowa City, but across college football as we're ever going to see, because it's the final year for that COVID class that came in and maybe redshirted in 2020 and got an extra year, and we're talking to guys with wedding rings on. They're going on for the next steps of their lives. Aaron Graves is getting ready to be a dad. It's just a really unique senior class and a lot of special stories.
Yeah, just not a lot of these stories that we're going to see. There will still be some, especially with the new rule with transfers from NAIA schools or whatever, being able to come in, and that's going to help provide more years of eligibility for certain guys. So there still could be some guys who are playing 6 years of college basketball or college football here if that rule remains, but still just an enormous senior class. I was curious to ask you guys, just if you want to name a couple of seniors who either you have a particularly fond memory of or hold kind of a special place in your mind in Hawkeye lore.
It's a good question. I think everyone was excited when Xavier signed on to play for Iowa. And just his progression through the years, breaking into the starting lineup as a sophomore, and then, this year I think he's been tremendous at safety. Specific players, though, I do remember more plays. The 2 last Nebraska games were both part of that senior class, with Llewellyn getting the strip sack against Nebraska last year. And then the year prior, Ethan Hurkitt getting that interception after Deacon Hill threw a pick, however many plays beforehand. Those are just some special plays, too.
Yeah, and Drew Stevens hitting the field goal last year against Nebraska, part of the senior class as well, and has rewritten the kicking history books there. I mean, I love Herc being a Xavier guy. I remember watching the game, I believe it was against Kent State in 2021. It would have been his redshirt freshman year. He goes down on the far sideline, does his knee, misses the rest of 2021. To see him come back from that in 22, starting to find his pace, and then that play in Ames in 23, his second game, getting in there in a good rotation on the D-line, and gets a 4th down stop and helps win the Cy-Hawk. And to see him now be a captain and an all Big Ten caliber D end, it's just been so fun. And I think I speak for everybody in this room and so many others. I love Hayden Large. Yes. It's been so fun getting to know that kid, having West Michigan ties, and I remember texting him, messaging him in January. There was some preseason workout video, and I'm like, Hayden's still there, and texting him are you getting an extra year? He goes, yeah, I found out during bowl prep. I'm back, man. So cool. And I would love to see him get a senior day touchdown. Still waiting for that, but for him to become such an integral part of the offense, whether it's just on those QB pushes, the tush pushes, or this guy's collecting catches, and he caught that one in Madison. I'll keep saying that till I run out of breath. He had that catch against Wisconsin. It's just been so cool to see this class, and there's so many others, guys that Kirk pointed out yesterday, guys like Zach Tweed, who is known more for going viral, for helping somebody on the side of the road a couple years ago, and has turned into an entrepreneur. And he pointed out Jeremiah Pittman yesterday, too, of a guy who was supposed to be in the rotation a little bit more and has played a little bit, but he talked about that guy's going to be running a company in 10 years. And there's so many guys that you might only see that our only shot of them might be them running out for senior day. They're destined for greatness and things far beyond football, but it's because of what they learned being in this program. And I know guys like that played 4 years, maybe got some special teams. Kelly Talander was a kid captain. And think of the impact that kid's made, just being an inspiration for every captain that comes out there and what he's been able to do as a linebacker.
Yeah, there were a few names you touched on there that I do want to double back on. Hayden Large is one that has just ingratiated himself to Hawkeye Nation so much. Partially the name, just Hayden Large fits the Iowa tight end mold more perfectly than any Iowa tight end we've ever had. Just a guy who had a season-ending injury in high school, didn't know if he'd even play football again, goes the NAIA route for a few years, plays at Dort. Making the jump from NAIA to Power 4 football is such a rarity, and to do that and be a contributor for 3 straight years is such a hard thing to do. And so he's just been the emotional heartbeat of that team. Even though he hasn't scored a touchdown technically, it's like, how many touchdowns has he assisted on of Mark Gronowski this year? I mean, he is.
Let him go under center.
The Eagles need to draft this guy just for assisting in the tush push alone. That guy's such an integral part of the offense. You mentioned Thielander. Yeah, he is such a special story that we've heard for a couple years, but maybe still doesn't get talked about enough. A guy who actually was a kid captain. How many times will we ever see that story happen where an actual kid captain comes back and plays Hawkeye football? That is a story that, we've talked a little bit recently about inspirational sports movies, but talk about a movie in the making.
Yeah,
that
for
is
sure.
a cool one. That's a Rudy level story that Kelby Thielander has been living out. Aaron Graves has been so fun seeing him from high school, a kid who got a associate's degree from Iowa Central before he even graduated high school.
Tritons.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, go Tritons. I think his mom works there, so he was able to finish up early before he finished high school. Now has a degree from Iowa and is working on a master's degree too. Maybe the smartest man who's ever walked down the swarm of Hawkeye football. Guy like Jennings Dunker, too. Talk about a guy who, again, just perfectly fits the mold of the Hawkeye offensive lineman. He's a guy that, has been kind of a legend for as long as he's been here, just with his look, his diet, his personality, his intelligence, just a smart dude who reads a lot, and a guy that, people are really going to look back on, yeah, that was a Hawkeye.
Yeah, and the guy that I've been clamoring for since this podcast started in Caden Weegan, and getting to see him turn into possibly the best Iowa returner ever.
That's true.
Yeah, and Logan Jones. He was only assigned one of the most difficult tasks possible. Hey, that thing we just did with Tyler Linderbaum, do that again.
Mm-hmm.
Go from D-line to O-line and become a center, and he's turned into maybe the best center in the country, and I really hope he stays healthy for the bowl game. I don't think he's played in the last 2 bowl games. Would just love to see him be healthy for his final game. And, he's been a stalwart on that line and such a leader, and he's one of our favorite guys to talk to.
Absolutely.
You're just shooting the breeze with him. He's just a great dude to catch up with.
I do want to kind of ask, because I know you and I had a submission for this, but recently Scott Docterman sent out the email for asking for Golden Gavel nominees. And for those not initiated, the Golden Gavel is an award given to the Hawkeye player who works the best with the media, who is well-spoken and always conducting themselves in a professional manner, is courteous with the media. Are you willing to give up your submissions?
No, that's those ballots are sealed until they're announced. But I think whoever we picked, and I know you brought up that because of the name we're just talking about, but it wouldn't shock me if he wins. But we've been really fortunate. Again, it's a group of guys that some of them are 6-year guys, have seen a few things. Talk about Jacob Gill, a guy who graduated early from Northwestern, brag, and comes in and becomes the heart and soul and heartbeat of that receiver room, not because of all the catches he's making, but because he does away from the ball and is good of a run blocker as you're ever going to see. It's just been great to talk to these group of guys every year, because you got 10 guys that we talk to in this senior class or beyond that could win that Golden Gavel and are just always open and great to have conversations with, whether it's with the camera on or camera off, and I think that's just a really, really cool thing. But yeah, those ballots are definitely sealed.
Oh, come on. This guy acting like it's Emma Stone coming out on Oscar Day, and Jimmy Kimmel's going to open the wrong one.
It's happened. It's happened at the Academy Awards. It's happened. No, but just such a cool group, and I think special moments like Caden Weegan finally getting a punt return touchdown against Northwestern last year. That was just such a cool moment because that place went nuts. Again, all my Williamsburg ties, that's just the best thing.
That's such a funny thing to think now, too, Caden Weegan finally got a touchdown. Now it seems like just now, it's just another touchdown in the books for Caden Weegan.
We have another one this year because I don't think Michigan State on the punt return is that great.
Okay. Yeah. And that's who Cooper had a punt return touchdown against them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
different coaching staff.
You got guys like Seth Anderson who, this is 3 years here. His first catch as a Hawkeye, his second snap as a Hawkeye is a touchdown. Had a couple against UMass, and he's been banged up. Listen, there's 28 guys. We could spend time on all of them, and it's just been super cool to know this group since the entirety of Eye on the Hawks. We've got to know them a little more, and we get to do these Hawkeye highlights. You didn't hear from one of the seniors we heard from yesterday, but we'll feature Jonah Pace as our Hawkeye highlight coming up too. Again, another one-year guy who, I mean, he told you in the Midwest, you grow up wanting to be an Iowa Hawkeye if you're a college football player, and he got to live that dream, and it was really fun to get some time with him as well. But yeah, just a super, super great group for sure. All right, well, thank you to Pin Seekers for teeing it up with us to start everything off. We turn our attention now to the Michigan State Spartans, who are 3-7, winless in the Big Ten. And, you know, the stats are what they are. Not spectacular across the board, but this is a team that you heard Kirk say off the top. These last two games, an overtime loss at Minnesota and at home playing against a Penn State team that with 5 minutes to go was 14-10. Are you worried about the Spartans at all? Even without Aiden Childs, Milivojevic has stepped in, and
Childs might play.
The name Childs had a boot on last week, but we'll see what's going on there. They've got a transfer running back from Sacramento State, Tao Tolliver, who's been outstanding the last two games. Are you worried at all, considering especially what happened last year when Iowa went into East Lansing? I mean, we'll talk about the spreads. I can't remember the last time Iowa was this big of a favorite in a Big Ten game. I mean, they're 2-touchdown favorites against the Spartans.
Boy, I don't know if I'd say I'm worried, but there is something there to Michigan State wanting to come in and, you know, it's not like they can spoil a CFP bid, but they do love coming in and spoiling something for the Hawkeyes. Did you know that Michigan State has only won one Big Ten game since they beat Iowa in East Lansing last year? And that game was last season. They're obviously 0-for in the Big Ten this season. So they're a team that sometimes can figure out how to play well against a Kirk Ferentz team. They're 9-9 all-time against Kirk. They have seen better days as a program, so a lot of those 9 wins have come in much more fruitful times for the Spartan program. But it's a game that I would not say I'm necessarily worried about this game. Last night I crunched numbers, and over the last 7 senior days, Iowa is 6-1. So they do always seem to come out and find a way to perform well when it is a high-emotion day.
Yeah, I'm not too worried either. I don't think this is a very good team, to be quite frank. I watched the game last week, and it was like 14-10 with 5 minutes left.
Yeah,
but
and I don't know how much of that was just Penn State. I mean, they were grinding it out. Katron Allen had a day, I think, 180 yards on 25 carries. I mean, he was all over.
I didn't see, when I was watching, I didn't feel like there was a part in the game where Michigan State was threatening to take the lead when they had that. Obviously, they started with the lead because they had that 55-yard run off the
which
bat.
was more than half of their rushing yards for the day. Was that 57-yard?
And their quarterback was under assault all game long.
I'm impressed with that kid. I mean, he's gone up against a couple tough goes, but, I mean, he moves around a little bit. TJ Hall, it sounds like not optimistic he's going to play. Again, maybe I'm in the Forensian mindset of just
maybe a little
find
bit.
Every way they can get you.
Yeah, 100%. Because I guess I wasn't that impressed with him. He can move around in the pocket. I think he only hit Marsh for their best receiver for one catch. I think if I had to go back and based off my memory, he had two catches for 5 yards last week. And I'm basing off of one game, but when you looked at the scores, they've almost allowed 30 points in almost every Big Ten game. So if it is close, I want to say it's going to be more so Iowa coming off 2 heartbreaking losses. But I don't doubt this team will come out prepared to win on senior day for their guys, right? For those 27 guys. So to me, I think this should be an easy Iowa win. But then again, when you think like that, it is a football game, and these guys are Big Ten players for a reason. So who knows? Yeah, and they're coming off their senior day, of course, in East Lansing. I would encourage everybody to look up the story of Amorion Smith. A very emotional senior day for him. That kid's been through a lot. He is continuing to step up for his family. So I would encourage you to go look up his story if you haven't. But you brought up these close losses. You lose to Oregon by 2 points. You go out to SoCal and a Caden Weegan toe. It keeps you from maybe an opportunity to go and knock off USC in the Coliseum. It's a strange legacy so far, still being written, of course, for the 2025 Hawkeyes, but a team that there's talk about just how good is this team despite 4 losses, and Kirk Ferentz was asked about that by Chad Leistico yesterday. Let's hear a little bit of that exchange.
The way the guys talk, I mean, they all believe, and I think a lot of people in this room probably believe that this is one of the better teams you've probably had in terms of just quality. Do you feel that way? I know the race isn't finished yet, but do you feel like this is one of the better teams you've had despite the win-loss record, I guess, at this point?
Yeah, I mean, to me, if I mean, I know you don't get any points for it's. I don't play horseshoes, but they say horseshoes and hand grenades. Horseshoes, I guess you get points for being close. I don't know, but anyway, the objective is not to be close, but the objective is to really compete hard and play our best. And every game you can find things that we could have done this a little better, that a little better. But to me, the biggest thing, if 20-some years, it's about the effort you put in, the commitment you make, and how you compete. So these guys have been checking that box, and it's a lot, I think, easier said than done. And all you got to do is look at scores every weekend. How'd that happen, or how'd this game be that close, that type of deal. So it's a hell of a challenge. And as a coach like that, that's really what I feel good about or don't feel good about at the end of the year is just what was the level of commitment, how'd our guys respond to the various situations. And it's tough after you get beat. We've had heartbreaking losses against really good teams. So, it is hard. And you got to give these guys a lot of credit for the way they come back, go to work on Monday. And that to me is what the game's about. That's really what you learn from it and what you take away. And I go back to 2001. I don't know if I enjoyed a win more than the Alamo Bowl to go 7-5. So, every season, every game has its own significance.
And certainly there have been some really incredible moments this season for Iowa. A 4-loss team so far through 10 games, but everyone's going to remember where they were for the Penn State game and what Gronowski did against the Nittany Lions, regardless of what the Nittany Lions are in 2025. But Aaron Graves, the pick at Camp Randall, and another shutout win for Iowa there against the Badgers. And Xavier Wampa, Mike talked about it already, his performance as a senior and really elevating to an all-Big Ten status, and plays that were marked how close Iowa was. Lutmer's pick against Indiana that we all thought was going to set up something magic, and Mark's touchdown against Oregon and how close they got to beating the Ducks a couple weeks ago, and again, Caden Weegen's toe. Is this one of the better Iowa teams that you guys have seen, regardless of their record? If they win out, they're 9-4. But boy, just because of how close they've been in an era where the ranked wins haven't been coming, but they've been blowouts until this year, do you feel good about this team regardless of how they finish, just because of the moments there and how they've competed?
I mean, I've only really been covering this team close up since 2022, so I'm less qualified to answer this question than you two are, but it's certainly the best team that I've covered since 2022 for the Hawkeye football team. I think that there's maybe some room for questioning that comment, depending on these last two games go, and depending on what teams like Indiana and Oregon and USC do in the postseason. If those teams go one and done in the CFP, it's maybe the Big Ten wasn't as good as we thought it was this year. But if the trajectory holds like it does, and Iowa wins a couple more games, makes a nice bowl game, and the Big Ten makes some noise in the CFP, then I would say for sure this is certainly the best team for Hawkeye football in the last 6 years? I don't know what the time frame you want to set it there is.
Yeah, sure. If I'm going back, I went back and looked at all the teams that I think are better, and I counted 5 under Kirk Ferentz. Oh, wow. 2002, 2009, 2004, 2015, and 2003. All the ones where they rank in the top 10, 15 at the end of the season. Sure. And looking through those seasons, they all have, and it's what this team lacks, is those ranked wins. And just capitalizing on, outside of the 15 team, I want to say, and the 02 team, they won their bowl games those years too. So that kind of plays a role into it. But I do think it might be the 6th best when you go to 08, 2001 and 21 and 23. I'd clump this team in with them. Even though the other two teams had the Big Ten West title and the Big Ten championship game, I do think it's on that par.
I'm glad you brought that up. I would say if they went out and they finish 9-4, win their last 2 regular season games, win a bowl game, because of how 21 and 23 ended.
Sure.
I would almost be more impressed with this team. I feel like because there's no divisions anymore, you don't go and get boat raced in Indy. You make it to Indy. That's fantastic. You win your division. You lose 42-3 and 26-0. That Citrus Bowl loss to Kentucky was really, really close. It took Wan'Dale Robinson a late play to get them in there. And then you lose to Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl in 23. This team, I think, just because of how competitive they were against the number 2, the number 7, and the number 15 team as we are right now in the college football playoff, I feel like, and I don't like ranking teams and all that, teams against each other year to year because everything's different. But like that to me would be a good crown for that team to wear. There was somebody brought this up, and it's super controversial, I suppose. If this team is again in a competition that you can't actually hold, better than 15, because 15 I think had one ranked team on their schedule before Indy when they played Michigan State. I think Wisconsin was in the top 20 when they played.
Oh
Wisconsin.
And Madison.
In Madison, yeah.
Yeah, and they were in the top 15.
It's a team that didn't play Ohio State, Michigan, or Penn State in 2015. And the only other ranked team they played before Stanford was Michigan State in the Big Ten title game, which was
who made the playoff that year.
That was a playoff quarterfinal.
It was, yep.
In the 4 days or the 4-team days. I'm not here for that competition or discussion because that 2015 team was special, and I think it's a testament to how much has to go right regardless of schedule to win 12 games in a season, in the regular season, to go 12-0. But this is such an impressive group, and they've got a quarterback, they've got a defense that's played well collectively. Maybe not the stars. Lutmer's starting to has certainly become a star in his own right as well. But it's a special group that might not have the most sterling of record at the end of the day. But if they finish 9-4, 9 wins is great, and just how close they were. If you have 4 losses by 18 or 15 points 15. At this point against 3 top 15 teams and your rival, you smart a little at it, but that's a hell of a season.
Northwestern was also ranked that year. They ranked 20th.
That's
Wisconsin,
right. And
19th.
They boat raced them. That was the Akron-Wadley game because Kanzeri went down with it. I was at that game. I think
I was too. Was it raining that day?
No, it was a beautiful day.
Okay. I was at a different Northwestern Iowa game then.
I was at, it was the 20th anniversary of their Rose Bowl team, their 95 Rose Bowl team. It was homecoming, and I sat next to a Northwestern fan. It was like 70-30 Iowa fans there, and the Northwestern fan told me, "I'm just happy the stadium is full." I probably shared that story before, but that was 40-10. Akron had 204 scores, and that was fun. But that was a wild one because that Northwestern team was ranked. That's right. That wasn't a bad Northwestern team. Just like this Northwestern team this year isn't that bad. And we'll talk about them in our picks coming up in a little bit. But certainly a heck of a legacy for this team. No matter what, if they can take care of business, certainly would put themselves in. Yeah, I think that's probably a good spot. They'd be in a top 6 or 7 discussion of Kirk Ferentz's teams. One guy who hasn't been here long but has settled right into Calvin Bell's defensive line and has started 9 games so far, coming in from Central Michigan, who has some Hawkeye ties there. Matt Drinkall, former Hawkeye and Bettendorf native, coaching them to bowl eligibility. Joey Labus leading them at quarterback. But Jonah Pace coming in from Mount Pleasant, Michigan, not Iowa, to Iowa City. He has settled in on the D-line and hasn't put up a ton of numbers, but he's certainly made an impact. Jonah Pace is our Hawkeye highlight. We'll spend a couple minutes with him now.
So what's this year been like for you?
It's been good. Coming from another school, coming here, and couldn't ask for anything better, working under Coach Ferentz and playing for him. So a couple games, didn't go our way, but, at the same time as life, things don't go your way. You got to keep working and going back to the grind at it. So,
what's your takeaway from this year?
Our takeaway?
Yeah.
Just keep working. I mean, everything you do in life, you got to keep working, grinding, and keep learning from what you do. You never lose. You always learn, and that's a good lesson you got to learn from football too.
Did you go through senior day at Kelly Shorts last year?
No, I did not. So this will be my senior day. It's gonna be pretty cool. Pretty cool with my parents, and it's going to be cool running out in Kinnick for the last time, and that's my last time, so that's going to be fun.
You've had more of those experiences running out of the tunnel in Mount Pleasant than Iowa City, but just what is this home field and this team meant? That your senior day is at a place that you spent 1 year, but it sounds like it's been special.
And I think it goes back to the guys in the locker room, making this a special place for me in a short time. Aaron, Herkett, Max, all those guys, Shire, everyone just making this feel like home. So when I do run out there for the last time, it feels like a home game at Kelly Shorts because, I got my guys, just like I have my guys at Central. It's gonna be pretty unique for me to do. So yeah, it's gonna be nice.
Tell me about either a favorite memory or kind of the first thing that really made Kinnick stand out to you your first time out there.
Yeah, running out onto the field, that first time was pretty surreal. Looking into the stands of my parents and looking back at the time that took me to get here. It was surreal just to see them, smiles on their face in the crowd, and running out there and seeing everything for the first time. It was really special.
Did it kind of live up to your dream?
Oh, yeah.
Playing in a Big One school. I mean, kids dream about the Big Ten, SEC. Did it live up to your dream playing here?
Yeah, totally. Playing at Iowa is everyone's in this Midwest dream. I mean, you come to Iowa to play Big Ten football, and that's what you come to do. And that's something that I've always dreamed of, and I was able to do that in my final year. And I look back on it, I have no regrets in what I did. So yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Marengo, Illinois, Union, Illinois, a little town in Illinois. So yeah, by Rockford area.
Gotcha. So you're a Bears fan. I didn't know what your college team was growing up being in the Midwest.
Yeah, Bears are doing good right now. You like to see that.
I put that in solely for Mike's reaction. Mike?
They've only won against crappy teams, and they will falter in the second half of the season. They will not win the NFC North. I think the Lions will.
Oh, man. Jonah Pace, a guy that we haven't talked to a ton, really soft-spoken, but that's another one of these great seniors, and you hear him talking about he's been on campus. He was an early enrollee on campus for less than a year, but he's found a home not too far from home in Marengo, Illinois, and really has settled in well on that defensive line. And what a cool thing that him and Bryce Hawthorne, Bryce obviously a Minnesota native, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, getting to carry off the floor to Rosedale. Like first-year guys like Lojo and Herc went and picked it up for the first time, but the fact that those two got to carry it off, that's a pretty special thing, and probably a testament to other seniors and leaders that like, hey, you guys get a shot to do this even though you haven't been here that long.
Yeah, that's super cool. I know anytime you get to win a trophy, even if it's in one of those trophy games, I think people who have fans of teams that don't have one don't kind of grasp it all, but sure. The pig means something, and little lesser extent the other trophies because they're just not as new or they're not as old and there's no tradition behind them.
Trophy, like it's
Cyhawk is like not this Cyhawk, but it's been going around for 25 years, 30 years.
It's almost kind of
40.
I don't know if you soccer fans will appreciate this comparison, but it's kind of like these new in-season tournaments they have in basketball where it's like it doesn't mean everything. It's not winning an NBA title. It's not getting to a CFP. It's not like going to a bowl game. But it is still like a fun thing to look forward to in season that's like, it doesn't mean everything, but it certainly is a fun thing to look forward to and kind of compare the stats for, the history of this rivalry and something to at least hang your hat on mid-season.
That's funny you say that, though, because in the soccer in Europe, any trophy means anything.
Yeah.
It's not just a league trophy. The FA Cup or the Champions League actually means more. So it's just it's funny how Americans actually take the NBA Cup because most don't care for it.
Exactly.
But over in Europe, all those other countries, they do value those a lot higher than the NBA does. At least.
I feel like the WNBA we almost care more about just because it's like we know how poorly paid those players are.
Oh,
and
true.
so for them to be able to win some more money for this midseason tournament, it's like, all right, good for them. They get another $100K in their pockets.
That's a good point.
Yeah, super cool moments now that we're getting to World Cup qualifying. You have Curaçao make the cup yesterday.
Love it.
The smallest country ever. I think the Des Moines Metro is larger than Curaçao. I think Curaçao is something like
150,000.
Yeah. Scotland, I believe,
Check
just
out
qualified.
that goal I was going to say that Scotland qualified on is amazing.
So cool. Just, those are the moments.
Curaçao I've only ever known of because they've got really good Little League baseball.
Who would have known?
Yeah, great baseball players there. They're always at the Little League World Series. But, now World Cup team. Love that story.
All right. This is Inside Baseball. I wish we had an animation to transition now to a different segment because I don't know how to get out of Curaçaoan Little League Baseball into a toss to our weather first forecast. They're playing Michigan State. Who else were we going to get to do this aside from Rebecca being out of the office today? But Grayson Freund, our own resident Spartan, telling us what it's going to be like at Kinnick for the senior finale.
Hey everyone, this Saturday at home, the Hawkeyes are taking on the Michigan State Spartans, which is my alma mater, so I selfishly have to say go green, and I know that our record this season has not been the best, so we will need all the luck we can get, but it is a very special game for the Hawkeyes because it is senior day. So good luck to both teams, and luckily the forecast is shaping up to be pretty nice. So if you're planning on doing any tailgating, make sure that you've got the coats, the hoodies, the hats, the gloves because it is going to be a little bit chilly. Temperatures will be in the 40s, but we'll have the sunshine at least, so that will help us out a bit. Kickoff is at 2:30 in the afternoon. We'll have a mix of sun and clouds, a light southwest breeze, 10 to 15 miles per hour, and temperatures will top out in the low to mid 50s. So honestly, not too bad for the end of November, but again, you'll still want the coats and all that winter gear to help keep yourself warm throughout the game. So of course, have a fun and safe time. Go green and go Hawks.
We allow the fence riding if you graduated from.
You can't say both. Pick one, Grayson.
Mike has a different opinion. One of the most beautiful campuses. If you've never been to East Lansing,
100%.
Go check out Michigan State University and go to Hopcat. Get to Hopcat, Peanut Barrel. The Riv is, I don't even know, maybe the Spoko equivalent of in East Lansing compared to Iowa City.
I went last year and I didn't get a chance to go to any place because we were staying in Grand Rapids, so we had to drive back. But from what I saw, it did look really pretty.
Yeah,
except the stadium's a dump. Let's tee that. Tie that up.
Never had a problem with Spartan Stadium.
I will say that, I traveled there for the first time last year to cover that game. I forgot we were both in the stadium at the same time. They do have the best media facilities, maybe of any Big Ten school, at least that I've covered so far. Just enormous workspace area compared to schools like Minnesota that we've traveled to with almost no workspace area. It's a great space to work if you're a road media member. Gorgeous campus. I think it was October last year. Perfect fall weather. There's a little creek and stream running right by the stadium. Great place to go.
I just remember I went there. I was at Fox 17 in Grand Rapids in September or October 2012, whenever it was, when Kirk won his 100th game. And it was against Michigan State, that double overtime slop fest where Greg Castillo had the game-sealing interception. And the post-game interviews were in a trailer. So your memory of road accommodations.
Wow, that is interesting. I wonder if they
this was 13 years ago. I don't have the best memory, but
they must have renovated down there because it's a enormous workspace and media area. There's the home one, which is even bigger, but the road one is huge, big stage, plenty of room for players to walk around.
Gorgeous facilities, and their SIDs were always great
Mike, they're gorgeous facilities.
You need to renovate the upper deck.
Yeah,
it's always a work in progress, right? All right, we're moving to our picks now. There's some really fun games this weekend, even ones that aren't even on our spreadsheet here. But we're going to start with another game for Northwestern at Wrigley Field. Of course, a heartbreaker to loss to Michigan on a walk-off field goal last Saturday. This time they get the Gophers. Minnesota heads to Chicago. Bit of a homecoming for P.J. Fleck. He's a Chicago kid. Gophers are at Wildcats on the north side. Addison Clark, and Northwestern's a 3.5-point favorite when they kick off 11 a.m. on BTN.
Northwestern's a 3.5-point favorite. That is interesting. Boy, the fates have not been kind to Northwestern lately at Wrigley Field. Two walk-off field goals over the last 3 seasons. Is that right? With Iowa, I forget if that was a walk-off, but at least final seconds.
There's a little time left.
Yeah, but really brutal fate there. I'm not sure how I feel about Northwestern as a 3.5-point favorite. I think that Minnesota could keep it within 3 points, if not win this game outright. So give me Minnesota.
I was going to do the same thing. I only think this is I only think that because I think this is going to be a really close game, field goal either way, and both of those scenarios favor Minnesota covering the spread, regardless of who wins. So give me the Gophers. Hopefully keep it close.
This is an interesting game. I've been singing Northwestern's praises for weeks. Michigan had 5 turnovers against the Wildcats. Man, it's a tough spread. Because I think Northwestern can win, but it might only be a field goal game, so that half point's driving you nuts. I will take Northwestern to cover, but it's going to be a heck of a game, and that might bite me. Speaking of heck of a game, maybe the game of the week across the country, and we could learn a lot about Iowa's strength of schedule, certainly in this one. Number 15 USC goes to Autzen against number 7 Oregon. The Ducks are 9.5-point favorites. It's a 2:30 kick on CBS.
Mike, let me hear your thoughts on this game first.
Yeah, sure. I just think USC is a different team at home and on the road. You have the slow start against Purdue. They ended up beating 33-17. They lost to Illinois, Notre Dame. They barely squeaked by Nebraska after Raiola got hurt. I think Oregon's going to cover. They got Sadiq back last week. Their running backs are really good, and as we know, USC's rushing defense they're not bad, but they're not great. So I will go with Oregon to cover that spread, even though it's about 10 points.
I have to, agree. I think USC is coming off a really emotional win, and going on the road to Autzen has to weigh in Oregon's favor here. Oh, boy, USC is on the ropes, though. They know they can't lose another game if they have any hope of getting in the CFP, if that even is still an option for USC. So I think I'll take Oregon to cover.
I'm going to take USC to cover. I do think Oregon wins, but that's if you're going to give me 9.5 against a team that can throw the ball that well, that'll be plus 9.5. Drink. Thank you. Lemon is so good, and Lane's great, and that Maiava I would argue he's the better quarterback in this game, and that's going to make it a really interesting matchup. It's going to be fun. That's going to be a super fun one to watch on Saturday. Nebraska at Penn State, 6 p.m. kick on NBC. The Penn State Nittany Lions, all of one win in the Big Ten, are 9.5-point favorites against the Huskers, fellas.
That doesn't seem right to me. Boy, the first of many games at Beaver Stadium for Matt Rule, possibly. I think I like Nebraska to cover the spread. That seems like an absurd number to give Penn State.
This is just kind of a wild spread, even with Raiole out. Like, Latif didn't play well when they came in either. I'm sorry, he didn't play poorly.
Right.
He played well. Yeah, you got to wonder if they just don't trust Nebraska on the road. I'm going to take Nebraska too. It is wild, though, if you look at like the ESPN FPI for Penn State all year. Like, what do you have to do? Because they're still like top 30 team on ESPN's FPI. What do you have to do? How many games do you have to lose to get to not have that respect? Or are they just going to give name brand teams that recruit well always the benefit
when you're
of
Penn
it?
State, I guess, you just get that kind of leverage.
And go watch Terry Smith's comments earlier in the week just about what getting a win meant to him, and as a Penn State grad and his dad went to Penn State, what that school means to him. Boy, I would love to see Terry Smith get that job. I don't know if it'll happen, but I really would love to see it for that guy. I will take Nebraska to cover. I would not be shocked if Penn State pulls this thing off. I think that's still a really good team. Now we go to the team that they just beat for that first Big Ten win. Michigan State heads to Iowa, senior day. You already know the story. The Spartans are 16.5-point dogs against the Hawkeyes. I don't remember the last time there was a Big Ten spread this large in favor of the Hawkeyes. Heck, you double that, and that was the over-under for most Big Ten games for the Hawkeyes the last couple of years. Can Iowa blow out Michigan State like they've done against inferior opponents throughout this year in Minnesota and Wisconsin, or can Michigan State maybe keep finding their footing here as Jonathan Smith tries to get a stay of execution there in East Lansing?
Iowa, I think, is really going to feast here. So let me throw a few numbers at you. Iowa right now leads the nation in fourth down defense. The opponents have only converted 3 of 15 fourth downs against the Hawkeyes, 20%. That leads the country right now. 12 fourth down stops for this team. Michigan State, their offensive line is maybe the worst in the country, one of, if not the worst. They're bottom of the Big Ten in sacks allowed. They're bottom 8 in the country in sacks allowed, bottom 5 in the country in tackles for loss allowed. They give up 8 tackles for loss a game, 3 sacks a game, 8 tackles for loss. I just think that team is horrendous this year. I think that Iowa's going to make a feast in their backfield, probably force 2 to 3 turnovers. I got to take Iowa in this one.
I'm on the same boat. I just think, like you said, Iowa handles the teams that they should this season with Wisconsin, and Minnesota's better than this, and they did that at home. So I think only Iowa could prevent them from covering the spread, and I think the team will be highly motivated to give out the seniors out on a win.
Yeah, the only thing that also might hurt and give Michigan State a chance to cover is injuries. 3 offensive linemen that could miss time and left the USC game, Bo Stevens, Cade Pieper, and Jennings Dunker. I think if you get 2 of those guys to play and you're able to plug in Leighton Smith, who we talked to yesterday, was Leighton the only offensive. Leighton Jones, excuse me. Leighton Smith's everybody's ears perked up in Iowa City. He's a well-known guy in Iowa City, a really good dude. Leighton Jones, who's been a heck of a competitor in the Solon hay bale toss beef days the last couple of years. Been pushing Peep as he's chased those titles. I think if you get 2 of those guys to play and now only have to plug in Leighton at one spot rather than trying to cover other spots, I think you're good. It would be cool to see Mike Malinsky get in there and play, a guy from Jacksonville who's stuck with the program, and you don't see him out there playing a whole lot, but Malinsky has been a stalwart in that offensive line room. So that's the only thing I think could keep Iowa from covering, but I think they'll be okay. Again, to your guys' point, I think just the talent disparity and what they've done against lesser opponents. So I'll take Iowa to cover. Who would have thought? Tell somebody a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, we're going to take Iowa to cover a 16.5-point spread.
Or even last year after Michigan State game.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. It's been an interesting year around the Big Ten, of course. no matter who you're rooting for. Michigan at Maryland, by the way, again, not on the spreadsheet. That's a 13.5-point spread. Michigan favored going into College Park. Maryland's got some stuff figured out. I know they haven't been great, and there's always that.
Michigan's not great on the road either.
Yeah, but Maryland also, like the October-November fade is a thing out there for the Terps. But hey, Malik Washington's a dude, and it's gonna be fun to see him and Bryce Underwood. Boy, that could be a fun battle in the next couple of years in the Big Ten. Those two guys throwing around
31.5 points between Rutgers and Ohio State right now, too.
I'm glad we're not picking that game. That's a huge spread.
Yeah, listen, I picked the games I picked for a reason here. Big thanks to everybody for listening here on a Wednesday. We will be back on Sunday, breaking down everything. Tune into the Iowa News Now YouTube channel for all of our highlights. Should be some awesome views coming from Kinnick, and we're not going to have to bundle up like crazy or wear rain gear. We're just nice to be comfortable. We're grateful for it. So Mike made it through his flu game. Michael Jordan, Michael Howell, same first name, can't be a coincidence. Thank you to Director Erica, as always, for running the show. For Mike and Owen, I'm Mitch. See you next time on Eye on the Hawks.
At DePaco Credit Union, we value your health and happiness as much as your financial well-being. We encourage the volunteer spirit by providing DePaco employees with the tools and resources to help grow our communities and support the causes that matter to us. We believe that giving back not only strengthens the places we call home, but also enhances our overall well-being. Well-being is the key to a life worth loving. So when you think about yours, remember that DePaco can help you be well.